Hello! David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Welcome, Micah. Welcome, The Clean. Welcome, Ashton. It's been so long since I've done this. I'm running slightly late, which I'm sure nobody noticed, but like up until now, I've been like really like clockwork as far as starting these things at exactly exactly 9 a.m. But yeah, how has everybody been doing? It has been a big couple of weeks. Hey, Smeloki, welcome to the stream. What kind of characters did we get? Mike has got, I can't tell if you're bald or just very light-haired, but with the Jester shirt. Smeloki is a mustachioed orc. Also with the kind of Jester shirt. I got, the kind of monk robe thing going. Ashton's got the Centurion helmet and also sort of robe thing going. You mean 11 a.m.? Yeah. Time zones. Yeah. So the big thing that's happened in the last 2 weeks, or really the last week, the 2 days ago, is that Godot 4 stable released. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it. I was so nervous leading up to it because there's so much expectation. People have such high hopes for Godot 4, and like I know from using it on a daily basis for the last 6 months or something that there's a lot of stuff that's missing or buggy. I was so worried that people were going to be like, this is the thing we've been waiting for all this time. It's buggy garbage. But it seems like the response has actually been really good, which is an awesome surprise. I think probably it's the result of it taking a while for people to really dig in and find all of the problems that I'm very acutely aware of, which is good. I mean, that'll give us some time. Some people will be excited. We'll get a brand new slew of bug reports and new contributors and get things fixed up. And in 6 months, 3 months to 6 months, we'll get a Godot 4.1 that is much closer to what I think I would have liked to have had the 4.0 be. But that's okay. It's all good. Everything's great. Hey, Logan. Welcome to the stream. Just popping in to say hi. That's cool, man. I know you're busy. You're a busy dude. Are you still in the US or did you go to Europe yet? I can't remember exactly when you were going. Ashton says, things like custom resources, the asset import improvements, animation improvements hugely outweigh the bugs for me. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the base is there. The base is there. Godot 4 will be everything that I want it to be. Just there's a little delay. There's a little delay, which is very Godot-ish, right? We just gotta wait a little more waiting. Yeah. So, anybody else really dig into Godot 4 yet? Any other comments like Ashton's? Things you are digging? Things that are bothering you? Yeah, I mean, the last stream we did was SG Physics 2D stuff, and I was really hoping to get SG Physics 2D ported to Godot 4 before Godot 4 released. And I did spend quite a bit of time on that, actually, over the last 2 weeks, which is the main reason, well, not the main reason, one of the big reasons that my prototype for one prototype per month in February was so delayed, because I was so focused on trying to get SG Physics 2D going. And SG Physics 2D is so simple, in my opinion. It's just a bunch of new node types and resource types added to Godot to do deterministic physics, and there's just like 3-ish show-stopping GD extension bugs that just make it not possible right now, which sucks. But after GDC, I don't think I'm gonna have the energy before GDC. It's only like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or it's real soon. GDC is real soon to focus on trying to fix that stuff in GD extension. But that's what I'm gonna focus on real hard after GDC, to get those GD extension bugs fixed one way or another, so that we can finally get SG Physics 2D over, which is the prelude to getting the rollback netcode add-on also ported to Godot 4. And once I have those things in Godot 4, I will feel so good, because I I feel like it's come up a whole bunch of times with like people saying, hey, does Godot 4 support rollback netcode? No, it doesn't have that built in because it's actually a super specific thing that very few people need. So probably it's never going to be in Godot core. But I have this really great add-on that you can't use because it's for Godot 3. So I'm really looking forward to that happening. Oh, Godot's in Sweden. Awesome. Man, I wish I could go be in a place full of game developers and just do game developer stuff together with other people and like inspire each other and like, oh, that sounds so good. I am so jealous of you, man. Actually, I would like height maps to collide with raycasts properly and for the viewport textures to work. Viewport textures are working-ish. I'm using them in the project we're going to be working on today. So like what I'm doing with them works. I guess I'd be curious to know what doesn't work, although I guess I'm not that curious. There's lots of things that don't work. But yeah, viewport textures work in some circumstances, I guess I should say. The clean. I'll still use 3.5 for a while, and I'm sitting here jealous looking at what Godot 4 brought to the table. Yeah, anyone who's got a Godot 3 project that's like in production, that's like really still going, should definitely not upgrade to Godot 4. If you're really early, like you're in pre-production or something, like maybe, because you could say, okay, well, we're not going to release for a year or 2 years anyway, and that, but like, yeah, updating, I don't know about that. Sunny Knox, welcome to the stream. Oh, you got a pretty good looking character there. Oh, I missed what Logan's character looks like. I didn't even see it. With the spiky shoulder blades, Sunny Knox. First time catching the stream live, just downloaded 4. Sounds like an exciting year. Yeah, this year is going to be amazing for Godot, honestly, because Godot 4 being stable-ish. I mean, it's released. It's got a 0.0 by it. Means that like from here on out, we're going to be building things and releasing them in like relatively quick order, and it's going to be great. It's going to be so exciting. Yeah, it's going to be like Godot 3.1 and 3.2 were super exciting times. I don't know if anyone remembers that or was like real deep in the community at the time, but there was just so many cool new features coming out with each of those point releases. And it's going to be like that again, but for Godot 4, so probably bigger and more interesting. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Viewport texture stops working sometimes when you export binaries. Interesting. I called you Godot instead of Logan? All right. I haven't had enough tea. I think that's my problem. I need more tea. We'll just call you Logan Godot Lang, because that's your alias when you end up in a lineup with the police. Like they're gonna be like, oh, this I don't know why suddenly I had this picture in my head of like the police like pulling someone over for a traffic stop and like bringing up their record on their computer, and their alias is Godot. Le Godot Lang. Ashton says, I got a project that I had in a project that I'm just waiting for your extensions for Godot 4 to be ready before I start using it. Oh, cool. Godogan. I like that one. Le Godot, but Godogan. I think Godogan wins as far as the bad police alias. Yeah, so anybody else have any news on your projects, how things are going, or any cool games that you're playing? I am playing right now No Man's Sky in VR. There was a new update with a new expedition that I'm going to try to actually do. I've never managed to actually complete any of the expeditions ever. They're like these 6-week events, and you can only do them for the 6 weeks, and then they're gone forever. So I'm going to try to do this one. My pa's also doing it, and perhaps we will like do the expedition together this weekend in VR, which would be super fun. But I've been playing that, and I've been playing Children of Morta, which is an amazing game. I played it for like an hour in 2020, and then didn't play it at all again until last weekend, and then I've been kind of obsessed with that. I need to take breaks from it to play No Man's Sky. Because I really need to get this expedition done. But man, that's a good game. I don't know if anyone else has played that one. Logan's going to try to live up to his new name. Oh, man. Or Godot Forgan? I don't know. To try and get the 4 in there, that would be an even sillier alias to have like a version number in your alias. Ashton's on a 2-week break from old job. Oh, cool. Getting up to speed as much as on a project Weird Little Guy, and it's great. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been in between jobs because I haven't worked like a straight job as like a normal employee for quite a few years now. Mathematics, 14 years. It's been 14 years since I've had like a straight normal job. I've been self-employed the whole rest of that time. But I do remember that being a great thing when you're have that gap between one job and another, and you can just like do anything, and there's no guilt, and it's awesome. And then the last time actually that I had a straight job, it was part of like a big layoff thing that I lost my job, and we got severance. And I had like 3 months' salary of severance, and that was amazing. It was like summer break when you're a kid, but as an adult, which is, of course, so much better because you can do whatever the heck you want. Oh, man. All right, well, let's actually get started. Ooh, I didn't realize I had my notes up on the screen. That's not supposed to be there. I usually like to open with like the Godot editor showing something 3D and picturesque. So, quick intro to the project. We haven't worked on exactly this project before, but we worked on one that shares a bunch of the same code. Ooh, someone's stuck at the bottom. Let me unlock you here. There we go. Ooh, it was me who was stuck at the bottom. So I've been trying to do this one prototype per month thing, where each month I spend about a week taking some little piece of a game idea, not a whole game idea, but just a little piece, and prototype it. And the January prototype that I did was to see what it would feel like in VR to have guns that are attached to the top of your hand and see how that would feel. Would you still be able to aim accurately? Would it feel okay? The results were kind of mixed. For some people, myself included, I was like, this is amazing. I can't believe I can aim perfect and it feels like awesome being, Terminator arms or whatever. For other people, it didn't work out very well. I had some people complain of fatigue from holding their arms like that, because you do kind of have to like hold your arms out to aim like that. Whereas if you have your arms sideways, you can keep them down close to your body, which is less strenuous on your arms. The tweak I ended up making there was the gun actually rotates with your hand. So you can still hold it out like this, but if you turn your hand like that, it'll stay in the same position, regardless of where you have your hand. Anyway, that was kind of a prelude to working on this inventory idea that is kind of the bigger thing that I wanted to work on, which connects with this, where you attach the weapon to your hand, and then when you want to switch weapons, you go into inventory by looking at the inside of your wrist, and then you can grab something out of there, attach it to your hand, grab something in your hand, put it in there, to try and get a more fluid VR inventory management experience. Because inventory management in VR is it's rarely good. It's usually terrible. An example of it being terrible, No Man's Sky, which I'm playing a lot lately, is just menus. It's all menus. It's the same menu that you get when you're playing No Man's Sky on the PlayStation, but on like a projected panel in front of you, and you're still pointing and doing all the same things, and it sucks. It's horrible. Some examples of games that do it better is like Half-Life Alyx. You only have 2 inventory slots, and they're attached to your wrists, similar to what I'm thinking here. I think that's actually where I got the idea that you would flip your arm around this way to get at the inventory slots. But I'm doing it a little bit differently. I'm having more slots, and in Alyx 2, like only certain items can go into your inventory. And then you also have like an inventory on your back for ammo and resin, and then your weapons, you don't actually switch them by going into your inventory at all. You have this other thing where you like press in the joystick and like move. Anyway, I wanted some way to make something more of like the traditional all-in-one inventory slots, but easier to manipulate in VR. Is kind of what I'm trying to test out, what I'm trying to work on. Hey, Matthew, welcome to the stream. Arm guns are featured in virtual reality. Interesting. What is virtual reality? Is that like the Rick and Morty VR thing that I think exists that I'm not sure? I might have made that up. So much VR stuff. What was I saying? Oh, okay. So where I got the prototype to, because I really only worked on it this past week, was you do have the inventory. You look at your wrist, the things come up. You can put the things in there and blah blah blah. I'll show it to you in a moment. I'll put the headset on and we'll look at it. But there's nothing to do with the inventory, which makes testing it kind of pointless. Like in the previous one with the arm shooting one, we had some enemies moving around. I want to have some enemies to shoot at, so there is kind of like a reason to use your inventory at all. And then also there's only 2 items that can go in your inventory: the gun item, which there's only 1 of, and the power cells. And I'm thinking we should have a couple of different gun things, so switching them is a thing, and we should have some enemies that you can fight so that there's something to do with these things. What I'm sort of imagining right now, we have this table with the gun item and these 2 power cells on it. And what I'm thinking is we could have the table have some buttons that we could use to spawn different items in. You load up your inventory, and then you hit another button. The table disappears. Some enemies appear. You fight them for a while. When they're dead, the table comes back. The simplest like game-ish like thing that we could use to make sure that this inventory is interesting to use. Like, you want to be fighting an enemy and then looking in inventory and switching a thing, so that you can get an idea of what it really feels like in an actual gameplay situation. So, with that, let me put on the headset. There's a couple little steps I got to do here, I guess. I got to bring up the Oculus Cast page so you guys can see what I am seeing. Oh, login. Time to log in. Luckily, I'm already logged in with Facebook because I had to send out all the stream messages today. All right. Give me a moment here. All right, and my controllers. As always, it takes a little bit of time to get this set up the first time, but once we have it going, we should be able to switch in and out pretty quickly. Just give me another moment here. My Guardian. Yep, it's there. It's there. Confirm. Do it. Do it. Beat Saber. Go away. I've also, yeah, I'm always playing Beat Saber, so that doesn't really count as a game I've been playing. But there was a new, an update to the Imagine Dragons music pack. They added the song Enemy from Arcane, the League of Legends show, which is an awesome song. So I've been playing that in Beat Saber. Okay, hang on. No, not Questlink. Stop, stop. How do I do this again? Where is the cast button? There's a cast button. It used to be on the bottom, but now I'm not seeing it. Used to be a big share arrow thing. Oh, geez. This is thrilling streaming. Okay, I know another way to get to it. Another way to get to it is I start the game, and then on the pause menu dealy, I can start streaming from there. So let's deploy from Godot to the headset. And I see it coming in. And I'm loading the pause menu, hitting the share button. And you may or may not almost be seeing what I am seeing. Okay. So here is the table. Here are my hands. I've got these kind of contraptions on it. Well, and there's the inventory, which I bring up by looking at my wrist, as described. But the idea for the game that this prototype would eventually maybe turn into is that you would be a robot. So you're a robot. You're killing other robots, taking their parts, and attaching them to yourself. So these little things are just, I don't know, dumb shapes to represent that, and the hands are, you know, human-looking hands, which, whatever. Ignore the inconsistencies. It's a prototype. So I can attach the gun thing there. You also see this wonderful Z fighting, which I believe is a bug in the OpenGL renderer in Godot 4, which I will look into at some point, maybe next week. Since for better or worse, I seem to do a lot of things in the OpenGL renderer in Godot 4, even though I'm horrible at rendering. But they keep merging my PRs. So, all right, and then you can grab the items, put them in your inventory here. You have the same inventory on your right hand, except it's upside down. There's a couple of tiny bugs that I think we'll fix right away. One of which being that when you look at your right hand, it's upside down. We just have to rotate this panel. You can grab them back out. Oop, yep, grabbed it out, and I can attach it to this hand. Bam, bam, bam. And as you shoot it, the power cell turns black, so you get kind of a secondary indicator for, I dropped it. I might not be able to pick that up. I can't pick it up. Yeah, there's a floor height issue. But yeah, so that's what we got. The two bugs I think we should fix right away before we dig too deep into this is this being upside down, and also the ray that picks the inventory feels a little unnatural. Like I'm pointing straight into the thing. Can you guys still see me? Whereas I think it should be more like I'm grabbing this way. So the ray, I think, needs to be tilted so that I would grab it like this, which, of course, I'm not grabbing the thing. I'm grabbing the thing behind it. And maybe also, because that's also an interesting bug, that I can grab things behind the inventory, is that we should disable the ability to grab these things while the inventory is up. So if the inventory is up, then I shouldn't be able to reach through the inventory and grab things from behind it. So let's fix those 3 bugs. Should be pretty easy, especially the first 2. And then I think we should add a new gun, is what I think we should add. I like the sort of archetype first-person shooter weapons are the pistol, the shotgun, and the automatic rifle. This is the pistol, pretty much. Oops, see, I'm getting bit by this thing already. And then, I don't know, maybe the easiest one to add will be the automatic. I have not done a lot of shooters, so maybe you guys have and you can give me some advice. I don't know the best way to simulate different weapon types. Like, I know a shotgun should be higher power, bad at long range, bigger hit radius close up, but I don't actually know like how I would go about implementing that. So I'd be curious if anyone else has experience with that. But that's what I'm thinking we'll do. Hey Slacks, welcome to the stream. Sounds like rot flesh. Oh yeah, in the sense that you're killing enemies and then taking parts of them to be part of you, but this would be without the body horror. I would love to play Rot Flesh because I think he's a great game designer. I can't deal with the body horror stuff though, so I can't play his games. Too gross for me, man. So this is gonna be robots. How did you get your hands to not jitter when you're moving? I don't know. I'm using XR tools for just to do fast prototyping, and I have not ever had issues with the hands jittering. Perhaps it's something that's being done in XR tools to account for that, or I actually don't usually use XR tools in like my full games, not prototypes, and I have never had that issue there either. So I'm not sure where the jitter might come from. It may be worth sharing your code with the jitter hands. You can come hang out in Discord and we can maybe take a look at it together and try and figure out what might be going on there. Shotgun is many bullets at once in a cone. Automatic rifle is a stream of bullets in a line. Sniper is one. Yeah, sniper is another good archetype. Yeah, the shotgun though is interesting. So then That does make sense, though. So if we think of it as the different pellets or whatever it is that comes out of a shotgun shell, we would cast multiple rays, and we would make them not very long, right? So then maybe that's how we simulate the shotgun. We make, instead of a single ray like we're doing with the pistol, we cast maybe, I don't know, 5 rays, maybe more. I guess it depends on how we want to do that. And then we make them go not quite as long. And do we make the extra power come from it just being more powerful, or do we make the extra power come from multiple rays will hit? That's an interesting question. Because that sort of, if we just do it like each ray causes the same amount of damage, and if you're real close, you hit with a lot of rays, that would very naturally make the damage be higher. Continual stream over the cone. Oh, flamethrower. Yeah. I'm not sure what you mean by continual stream over the cone. So are you saying like you define a cone and then you randomly cast rays within the cone? That's an interesting idea as well, rather than fixed rays. Fixed rays are easier to do, though, especially for a prototype. Anyway, I think the automatic is the easiest archetype to add, so we'll probably do that first. First, after we fix these bugs. So the easiest of the bugs, let's go to our player origin node. So we have a separate scene for everything that makes the player up, which is this XR origin node, these XR controller 3D nodes, and then a bunch of stuff from XR tools like the direct movement, pickup, the hand model, all that junk, and then some custom nodes like these inventory attach points and the ray for grabbing things from the inventory. We also have this, I don't know exactly what it's called. It's like a physics body, but it's not, to represent the player. It has a physics body inside of it. And then the inventory panel. Auto is definitely easiest start part. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and sniper could be. I feel like it might not be different enough to make it interesting. Yeah. I want to get a couple archetypes that are very different from each other, so you have like kind of a motivation to switch. Just for the testing inventory, we don't need to make these be super good. All right, so to fix the first bug, which is the inventory panel on the right hand is upside down, we rotate this right inventory attach point, which, are we in local space? I want to be in local space. Okay, we're in local space, and it is upside down, so I think I need to rotate the local X by 180 degrees. Did I do it? I think I did it. Let's try it. Oh, so there's this bug with, I get it in Godot 3 also, only with deploying to the Quest with OpenXR. This never happened with the mobile OVR plugin, only the OpenXR plugin, that sometimes I deploy and the game doesn't actually start. It just jumps to the home screen. It's real annoying. One of these days I will attempt to debug it. So, okay. What happened? Why am I not getting any? Okay, there we go. There's the inventory. All right, let's just drop a thing in here. There we go. And it's right side up. And on this side, also right side up. Yay, we fixed the bug. That was simple. Ashton says, most shooter systems are treating all shooting as each bullet being random ray within cone, and then things like accuracy is the width of the cone. You vary the bullets at once over time. Don't make many weapons. Make one, but with a ton of parameters to change. That's an interesting idea. Flare gun and the minigun are basically the same weapon. Yeah, so then maybe... Because if you think about it, the automatic is almost the same as the pistol, except the cooldown is shorter and you can hold the trigger. Those could be parameters on the same thing, although I want to have a different model for each one. It might end up being easiest to just make them be separate scenes with separate code. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So we fixed the one. What was the other one? What was the other issue? Oh, it was the ray. Okay, so you can see the rays in here. That's the ray that's used to select from the inventory. I think it would make more sense to be kind of coming out of the hand this way. So let's get, yeah, I still want to be on local space. We'll kind of pull it in. I want it to come off of, let's say, the palm, the middle of the palm, but be rotated down a little bit, maybe like 45 degrees. Like that. It might even be a little low. Let's maybe move it up here. All right, now how do we make that same be on the other hand? This is one of the most annoying things about doing VR things with the hands. You have to duplicate a whole bunch of stuff. In some of my earlier VR games in Godot, I just refused to double things. And so I would always try to come up with some mathematical way to build only one hand but have everything flip. And it caused so many problems with collisions and bones and animations and all of that stuff. So now I've just resigned myself to I double things. But we moved this down on the z-axis. So I think we probably need to copy the z value to the right inventory raycast. Was that negative or positive? Positive. Okay, and we need to change the y also. That should be relatively easy. And then we can do the rotation manually again because it's 45 degrees. I'll hold the control to snap it. 45 degrees. Yep. I think that's duplicated on both sides. I'm getting way too good at that. I shouldn't be good at that. There should be a way to not have to do that ever. All right. So let's just jump in real quick and test that. All right. So let's go grab this guy and, oh, that feels much, much better. I'm no longer pointing like this, although I guess I seem to still be able to point like that, except it does weird things. I'm pointing like this. That feels so much more natural. Although it's a little weird here. What the heck's going on here? Maybe the angle needs to be more closer to 90 degrees. So right now we have it at 45 degrees, which would put the ray forward here. Maybe we need it to be closer to 90. Yeah. Maybe halfway between 45 and 90 would feel right. Let's tweak that a little bit. You could create a generic gun node and then connect its signals to the different models. Yeah, that is definitely a possibility too. So many great ideas coming from you guys. Thanks, Ashton and the Clean. Let's just try rotating this a little bit more. Let's try 60 degrees. And then we're probably done with this one, if this is good. If not, we'll try 75 degrees and 90 degrees. And then we've got the bug with grabbing the item when the inventory is up. I think that should be as simple as toggling the enabled property on the XRTools nodes that allow us to drop the thing on there. I forget what it's called. Drop point. There's a test drop point right here. All right, so okay, I like this. So I'm holding a palette. I don't know why so many of my games end up having a palette, but I'm holding a palette of inventory, and I can drop the items in there. And then actually, so whoa, what's going on here? Oh, okay. So look at this. the left is always selected. This hand's not doing anything because the ray from this hand is coming through the back side of this palette, and now I can't select anything. I didn't consider that. I didn't consider that as a thing. Call me Ash for short, so I don't feel like I'm suddenly in trouble with my mother. Okay, cool. Why is my error reporting not kicked in when multiplayer disconnects? Because you haven't connected disconnect signal method. All right. So we need a fix for a new bug we just created, which is making me think almost that I should just not do this right now and stick with the way it was before, because it wasn't that bad. We'll have to do a thing where when the inventory is up, we disable the ray. Which shouldn't be that hard to implement, actually. No, it shouldn't be that hard to implement. Okay, so first things first. Is this a good position for the ray? I am not sure. Because I can't really test it. So I guess let's write the code first. All right, so I've got this hide show inventory panel method. Which we probably don't want to integrate it there. This hide show blaster mount is a dead method. I'm not using it anymore. I think we could take its kind of logic though and repurpose it. So instead of hide show blaster mount, this would be enable disable inventory ray. And we need to grab a reference to the inventory ray, which I don't think we have. Oh, no, we do. Okay, left, right, inventory raycast. Cool. So we'll need to re-enable this method. Enable, disable inventory ray. That's good. And we're no longer messing with the blaster mount point. So we left inventory raycast, and we're changing it to enabled. So basically the way this method works is we every physics frame, we're enabling them, then we're checking if the inventory panel is visible, and then we're disabling them. I could write the logic differently where we're checking if it's there and then disabling it or enabling it in an else thing. This just seems easier logic to implement this way. If it causes some problems enabling and disabling like that, then we may have to change it to the other way of doing it, but we'll do this for now. And then we say left inventory raycast enabled and right inventory raycast enabled. So if it's not clear from the code, basically it's enabling all of them. If the inventory panel is visible, then we check which attach point the inventory panel is connected to. We see what's its parent. Is its parent the left attach point? Then we disable the left inventory raycast. And if it's the right attach point, then we disable the right inventory raycast. So let's try that. Oh, you guys aren't seeing this though. And it didn't make it. Booted me back to the home. While that's loading in, actually, I'm going to take a peek at the comments because I know I'm missing some stuff. Ash, your games end up having a palette because that's good UX that arrived over thousands of years of users by painting handscraft. What about the nearest square to the hand center? Yeah, that's possible. You can hotfix it with changing collision layers or adding collision exceptions. Oh. Collision exceptions won't work though, because it's the same palette. It's the same palette, just moved left and right. But exceptions would be interesting. Whoa, what is happening? There's a freak out. There's a freak out. I really honestly don't know what's happening. It's giving me a migraine though. Let's get out of here. Quit. Okay. Let's try that again. Let's take a look in the debugger through the nose hole here. Make sure it doesn't look like something I did wrong. Yeah, exceptions would be great if it was like a separate, or I mean, I guess okay, when we place it on the hand, like when we actually attach it to the attach point, that's when we could set the exceptions. Okay, so it appears to be working. Yeah. All right, a little bit of code we just wrote worked great. Beautiful. Ship it. And I guess, so now that it's working, I need to evaluate if this is a good angle for the raycast. I don't know, it feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. I'm really happy too with how well this works. So it's based on, it's doing the dot product between a normal vector coming out of the space between my eyes and a normal vector pointing away from the attach point. That just works really well. Like you can even go, oh, hang on, I actually need to grab this one from here. You can even go from like shooting, let those shaders compile, shooting to like looking at the inventory like pretty naturally. It's like if I was, here, imagine this scenario. I'm shooting, my energy is getting low in my power cell, and I just need to go like that feels pretty good. And hopefully that will feel pretty good in practice to other people. Because that is what I'm trying to make happen. Yeah, I think I was trapped inside my own hands. I think that's exactly what happened. Okay, so second bug fixed. Let's commit this before we get too far. Git status, git diff. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to say attach. Okay, so we'll do it like this. We'll say minor inventory fixes, and then we'll put some notes below. We will say rotated right inventory attach point so it's right side up, and tilt inventory ray down to grab items out more naturally. There we go. And what was the third thing? Oh, it was being able to grab items through the inventory screen, which I think actually we'll implement that almost exactly the same way as we implemented this enable disable inventory ray. We will enable and disable the attach points, and we're going to need to abstract that a little bit so that we aren't duplicating too much code. All this in light mode. Yeah, I use light mode. I'm sorry. It's better for my eyes. Everybody is different. What am I looking for? I am looking for the scene for these dealies here. I called that blaster mount point, which isn't terribly accurate because now we're also mounting the power cell, and I would love to have things that aren't blasters on there. Like a grappling hook would be really, really cool. Or like a saw, so you could like grapple an enemy in and then like saw their blaster off, and then you could take the blaster. And anyway, all sorts of cool ideas I have for this someday, one day. All right, so in here, in the code for it, we're going to need to access these blaster and power snap zones. So I'm going to make them be both of them access as unique name, so that I can easily, in the GDScript, grab a reference to them, which I guess I usually do those up here. On ready var, it was blaster snap zone, I think. Snap zone, I like to keep my names consistent. And this is an XR tools snap zone. Blaster snap zone. I can't wait until the VS Code extension is updated to support these, to have the autocomplete work right, which maybe it is. I maybe just didn't update it. Okay, I think that's how we want it. Yep, blast zone, power snap zone. Okay, so then we need some property or method to enable and disable both of those at once. I think a property makes sense. We'll do like a property with getters and setters. So we'll say var, what is it called on them? Is it enabled or disabled? Okay, it's called enabled. So we'll say snap zones enabled. It'll be bool. It will default to true. And we will do... The getter is weird. The setter is easy. Maybe we won't do a property. Maybe let's just do a method. We'll say func set snap zones enabled p enabled bool void, and then we'll just set them both at once. So blast snap zone. Did I call it blast or blaster? I called it blaster. Blaster snap zone enabled p enabled. Power snap zone enabled equals p enabled. All right. So then we need to go back to here, and we are going to have an enable disable mount point snap zones, some kind of method like that. We'll basically, oh, and I need to change this comment. Enable disable the inventory array when the inventory panel is showing. Then we'll do another one. Actually, we'll copy and paste this. This will be enable disable mount snap zones. All right, and we'll have left blaster mount point set. What do we call it? Set snap zones enabled. Set snap zones enabled. So we will default to setting them to true. And then when the panel is enabled, we set it to false. So left false, and then right false. It's probably a better way to refactor this with less copy and paste. But this is a prototype. That comes when we actually make a game. We just want to see if this mechanic feels good. And then maybe it'll make it into my robot chop shop game someday. Okay, so we need to actually call the method, and then I think we're ready to run it. So that would be enable disable mount point snap zones. All of this is very reminiscent of writing UI code. It feels like all of this little bit of state management kind of stuff really feels like. And I guess it is UI. All right, so I put this on here, and I want to still be able to grab it. Okay, that's good. We didn't break it. And if I reach through, haha, I can't grab it through the inventory panel. Perfect. Let's make sure it works on both hands. So let's put this on here. Let's do the ultimate test where we have two items in the right next to each other. So I want to grab this one. Oop. I want to grab this one. I don't want to accidentally grab through to the other one. But I'm always getting this one. Perfect. I'm getting some tracking issues. Am I like too close to something in the real world? I'm not sure. Now this is perfect though. It still works. Take it on and off. We didn't test with the power mount point. Yep. We're all good. All right. Another bug fixed. We're knocking them down. So even if we totally stumble on adding the new weapon, which is what we're going to do next, we can at least say we fixed some bugs. Oop. What did I hit? I hit something I didn't mean to hit. Okay. Okay, so we're going to say prevent grabbing items behind inventory panel. Ship it. All right. Now we need to make an automatic weapon. The weapons were abstracted a little bit. I did make 2 weapons at one point in time, not switchable weapons. I was trying 2 different weapon types in the old prototype. So we do have this blaster base scene, which defines a little bit of what it means to be a blaster. It's a little too specific, actually, because it includes also like how the how it actually does the hits. So either this would need to be abstracted to be configurable, like the cleans idea, or we'll need to remove this when the weapons get more sophisticated. But I think we can actually keep it for the automatic at least. That shouldn't be a huge problem. Will the animations still work? No. Unless, I mean, we can speed scale the animation. Yeah, we could speed scale the animation. Let's go look at the code for this and just see how specific it is. Oh, I wrote all this code to attempt to let the hands steal from each other, and it doesn't actually work. I should maybe delete this. Yeah, the code is not very generic. It's force. Oh, that's the force is for pushback, I think. For implementing the pushback on the enemies. There we go. Yeah, that's for the pushback on the enemies. It's a const though, so we would need to make that be a variable so we could make it change between the different ones. Decleaver. Welcome to the stream. Oh, you got a pretty cool character. Sort of my hairstyle going. It says, man, I've been waiting to get into VR with Godot, but it seems like a ton of hassle akin to taking the headset off and on again. Yeah. It is annoying. Although, like, so the Quest 2 is pretty good because I can hover it on my forehead and just kind of do this. I also have the Quest Pro, which is much better headset to actually use, but I can't prop it on my head because it has no bottom piece. Like, this has this bottom ridge. The Quest 1... Oh man, it's been so long since I've done development with that one. I don't remember how easy it was. But yeah, the different headsets can be easier or harder for development in that way. So the question that I'm wrestling with in my head right now is how much do we want to abstract this versus how much do we want to just hack a new weapon in here? Because we could abstract this a bunch to make it easier in general to add more weapons. But I don't know if it's worth doing for this prototype. We could add like we could have like a helper method that like actually hits the enemies and stuff and calculates where the laser beam should go, but then we leave it up to the individual weapons to actually draw those things. Or yeah, actually presently we have a single mesh that is the laser beam, whereas instead of including it in the scene, we could spawn this, you know? We could split the laser beam out into its own scene, add the logic for sizing it and stuff into the laser beam scene itself, and then we spawn a bunch of those, making it easier to reuse it in different weapons. The explosion, we could move this code basically into its into a method on it, rather than doing it here. This stuff, this is generic. We want it to be in every weapon. Decliviver. How do you say your screen name? Decliviver? 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 I thought about using virtual desktop and just using it as a screen. I mainly do 2D platformers nowadays. Yeah, so what would be really cool is, I don't know if you've seen the work that Freddie has been doing on making the Godot editor work in VR. That would be the best. If you guys haven't seen this, I could try and dig up the video really quick. But you actually get to stand in the 3D viewport and manipulate things, and then you can have the code window and all that stuff up in VR with you. Let me find it. I'm going to find it. I did a presentation where I linked to it, so I'm just going to quick find that presentation. Here it is. I suppose I could just show this on the screen over here. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. Let me just get OBS back up. So here, we'll make this big. So Freddie is in here rocking Quest Pro. This is all running on the headset. This isn't on his computer. This is just on the headset. Of course, you can run it on the computer and stream it to the headset too. That's fine. But he has the window. You don't see the 3D viewport in the window because you're standing in it. And Godot won't let you show it in two different ways. But so he's selecting the mesh for the floor in the scene tree. Then he's going over to the inspector, and he's going to change the color of the floor that he is presently standing on, which is pretty cool. As he slowly clicks through the menus to do it. There, the albedo color. And we're going to make the floor this sort of tan color. And look, he's standing on the floor. But you don't see it in the video. He could bring up the script editor on this window. And I have no idea how it would work to like actually execute your game. Probably whatever the same trick that Godot's Android editor is using, which I haven't tried, but I know that it's a tricky problem having one Android app launch another Android app. Anyway, is the Quest Pro resolution good enough to code with it? The Quest Pro is. And it's not so much the resolution. The lenses are so sharp on the Pro. I think you could code with it. It would be great to have more resolution, but just like the clarity, I think it's possible on the Pro. The Quest 2, it's not nearly as good. NotX, welcome to the stream. Visual scripting would be really useful for programming while in VR. Shame they got rid of it. Well, so I don't know if you know what's going on with that, but there's a group of people who are trying to re-implement visual scripting from the ground up, because it just kind of turned out that the way that it was implemented before just couldn't really be fixed. People had tried for years and years and years, and the idea was like, well, let's just do a complete rethink. So there's a group of people working on that. So hopefully one day it will make a return in a different, more usable form. Anyway, so I think we are going to abstract this a bunch, which means we probably won't be going into VR for a couple minutes. So I'm going to take the headset off my head because it hurts a little bit sitting up there. Give me a second. All right. Well, you guys got some. Not X has got a pretty good character, a wizened old man. Okay. So, what parts of this need to be part of a gun, or actually any tool? I like the aiming dot, which is disabled, I think, by default, but it helps me in testing to make sure that the thing's actually shooting where I think it's supposed to be shooting and there isn't some bug there. Mount on controller, unmount on controller. This stuff I should probably just remove. I'm going to, at the very least, comment it out because I know it doesn't work. That way it won't confuse me later when I'm coming in here like, what does this code do? The answer is nothing. It does nothing. This code we need. This is specific to the weapon. This we can abstract. All right. So first things first. The laser beam and the explosion. We can move those out to their own scenes. So, yeah, let's do. And then, yeah, the animation player would actually go with the laser beam and not the gun, which I think would be good. So let's do. What is the best way to do this? I miss a removed Godot 3 feature, which is like where you can like pull in nodes from another scene in a new scene. Copy and paste is supposed to replace it, but I've not had quite as much luck with copy and paste because like references will be broken and it'll complain about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna recreate it anyway. But okay, we'll try save branch as scene. Laser beam TSCN sounds fine. Let's open that up. We are going to change the root node because I don't like the mesh being the root. We'll make a node 3D, and we will hit the option to make this be the root. Make scene root. This will be, I'll change this to just mesh instance 3D. And laser beam. And then we are going to attempt to copy this animation player. It's not going to work. Where did my laser beam scene go? Ooh, it sort of worked. Here, can we... How do we manually rename these tracks? Okay, it totally didn't work. You know what? A better way to do this might be to clone that other scene. Let's here. We'll save this, but we're gonna trash it. Did I just put myself in a situation I can't revert from? No, I can revert from this. Where are the changes to the TSCN though? Hang on. Oh, there are no changes to TSCN. Okay, remove laser beam. Bam. Blaster, base. Okay, cool. So this didn't get saved. All right, we're good. We're good. I'll try this again. We will clone, duplicate, duplicate, laser beam. Now let's go to our laser beam. What the heck? I duplicated you. Where is the thing? There we go, laser beam. And then we should be able to just shuffle things around. So we're going to detach. We're going to change type. We're going to disconnect all the things. Move the laser beam up to the top level. Kill this stuff. Rename this to laser beam. rename this one to mesh instance 3D. Name this to animation player. Okay, I think that'll do us, I hope. Although, strangely, this doesn't have the right material on it, which... Oh, there we go. That's the material that should be when it's shooting. Okay, cool. You can build a game in the way you can test things on your Yeah, when you're doing like a long-term project with VR, it's very, very useful to have a way to play the game non-VR. In the VR voxel builder game, which I haven't worked on in a really long time, I'm probably gonna scrap the current implementation of that and rebuild it on Godot 4 when I come back to it. But yeah, that was so useful to have the VR and non-VR mode, so I could test out all the game mechanics in the non-VR mode and then put on the headset and then go in there and tweak the interactions. The thing with this prototype in particular is that it's all about the VR interactions, so it doesn't really make sense to have a non-VR mode, and it's a prototype. That's a whole bunch of work that doesn't make sense to put into a prototype that I intend to throw away. Okay, so, oh, and it's hidden first, okay. All right, so I think this is everything we need in the scene for the laser beam. I think we're good now. Let's attach a script. And what we need in this script is the code that resizes the mesh based on a particular target. So that is in Blaster GD. Okay, so if the ray is colliding, then we do this to set it up. And if it's not colliding, then we do this. Oh, okay, cool. So in one mode, we're trying to hit a specific point, and in another mode, we are simply running it out a particular distance in a particular direction. Yeah, so we need a method that does these two branches. What would that method be called? Or maybe we need two separate methods that do the two different modes. So we can say function so it'd be like resize connect with point. Target point, target direction. So we would do like set target point, and then we would have a point. So vector 3, and this would do the one mode where we're having the laser actually hit a particular point in the distance. And we just have set target direction, where we have a vector and a length. And the first branch looks like this. So instead of collision point, we have P point. And this isn't the raycast global position. This is this scene's global transform origin. And then the laser beam, which I guess is mesh instance now. So let's say I'm going to clean this up, make this follow the style I usually use. So this would be like mesh instant ready var mesh instance. And it isn't currently available at this name, but we'll change that in a second. We go in here and change the mesh instance 3D to be access as unique node. And then here we're going to do oops. And actually, we can do this easier because now that this node is the parent, I think it should be enough to set it to just vector 3, 0. I'll snap it back. Oh, wait, hang on. We're taking the whole transform. Okay, so then that would be... Does that make sense? So we set the laser beams transform to... We set the mesh instances transform to the parent transform, the transform of the whole scene. And then... we are moving its origin by half of the length of the vector. So we're putting the mesh in between our position and the target point. Cool. Right, and this should also adopt our rotation, whatever that is. So if I'm pointing the gun up, then we should be tilted up. And then all we have to do is make the Z size of the mesh be the right length. Perfect. Simple, simple code. All right, so then the other mode of doing this, where we don't hit anything, but we still want the laser to just shoot off in that direction, is this. Okay, so... Right, so this target position, that's really just the vector... Or no, hang on. That's the length of it. Okay, so this we don't need ray length because we have p length. So anywhere we have ray length, I'm going to call that p length. And wait, how are we doing this without a vector to decide where it's going? Okay, so we start by making the laser beam adopt the parent transform. Wait, this actually doesn't make sense. Hang on. Does this exist at the top level? It does. Okay. So this can't be equals transform. This has to be equals global transform. And then this has to be global transform. Okay, so it's no longer called laser beam, it's called mesh instance. Let me replace that all over the place. Okay, so we move it to our same position. Then we are subtracting so we don't need a vector because it's whatever vector we are currently facing, right? So that's where we get the z, or really negative z, because we're minusing it. Okay, so we don't need the vector, but then that makes this method really weird. Let's change the way this is. So we're not setting something, we're saying target, like as the verb, target point. Target. I guess I'll still say vector, but all we're going to care about is the length. Because we always have a starting point, which is the point that the scene is at. And then all we're saying is like target a vector in whatever direction. I think that makes the most sense. I don't know. Does that make sense to you guys? Otherwise, this code looks right. So the minus equals is a little confusing. I kind of wish I'd written this without the minus equals and actually wrote out the pieces. But what this is doing is it's making a vector that points from the point that is half the length in the negative z-axis direction. Or wait, hang on. Yeah, so we end up with a vector. We end up with a vector that is pointing from the from the target, from halfway to the target to us, and then we move up that way, and then we set the length. So okay, I think that's good. I think that's good. Until we test it, and then it turns out I'm totally wrong. Okay. So now, let's go back to Blaster Base. We can replace this laser beam with our new laser beam scene. We don't need this laser beam animation player. Oh, but we do need a way to tell the laser beam to animate. So how do we do that? We need a method to kick off the animation. So how would that look? Start animation. Start animation. What is going on here? Grumble of pugs? I'm very confused as to what's going on in the chat at the moment. Pac-Van1, Grumble of Pugs, welcome to the stream. Since if I look at this in Restream chat, I see some little doggies, and if I look at it in Discord, it looks crazy. And the clean has apparently lost track of what's going on 28 years ago. Great. How can I help you get back on track, the clean? I'm just trying to make this laser beam be its own scene. That's all I'm trying to do here. That's all that's going on. If I go over here, we can say shoot. So I think what we do now is we say animation player play shoot, and then we need something that despawns the laser beam when it is done. So I think we just attach a signal to the animation player, say animation finished, and let's just get rid of that. If anim name equals shoot, then we queue free. I think that's all we need. And then we need to change the blaster base to use this instead of the old way of doing things, which should be fine, right? I should be able to delete laser beam. I should be able to delete laser animation player. I should be able to load up the scene here. So const laser beam. Hey Grumble Bugs, we are working on a VR prototype using the Godot game engine version 4.0. The idea is we're trying to test this way of doing inventory management in VR. This idea that I had. And right now we are refactoring the weapon so that we can add a bunch more weapons that we can use when testing the inventory. So we're going to instantiate this laser beam scene we've just been working on, and we can we need to add it as a child of ourselves, right? so that we're pointed in the right direction. Actually, we need to add it as a child of the raycast. So let's do that. Do we have the raycast variable grabbed anywhere? Raycast 3D, we do not. We'll just say add child laser beam. So we added as child with raycast so that it starts at the right spot. And then we call the two methods that we just wrote. So laser beam target point, and we give it the collision point. And then here where we miss, where we don't hit anything, we simply target a vector and we give it the length, which is defined by the raycast length. I'm tempted to just test that to make sure that we aren't breaking anything, which maybe we'll do. Maybe we'll do that. We do still have to abstract the explosion, and I guess we'll end up moving a bunch of this code, basically everything in here, to a different script for the current pistol-like gun. Yeah, Pixis. Hey, Pixis, you joined the stream. I didn't even notice you get in there. Yeah, I maintain the Godot rollback netcode add-on, which on a couple of streams we have worked at moving to Godot 4, sort of. I mean, we're actually working on moving SG Physics 2D to Godot 4 first. That's the deterministic 2D physics engine that you would generally use because you want to use the rollback netcode add-on, and then yeah, after that we're going to actually port the add-on itself to Godot 4 because it's Godot 4 times the Godot 4 era. Woohoo! Okay, I think let's test this. Let's test this just to make sure this works. Do I need to change anything else? I don't think so. Oh, we have to start animating it. Unless we should just animate the laser beam as soon as it's created. That's probably a good idea. Let's do that. I think. Does that make sense? Let's try it. We'll just start animating as soon as it's created. And all right, so the goal right now is that everything works exactly the same as it did before. Let me put on the headset and let's give it a try. I am in blackness. How do I escape the blackness? All right, let me get this deploying to the headset, and then I will switch over so you guys can see what I am seeing, which I guess timed out since we were doing so much code there. Oop, hang on. No, what? All right, let's try this again. Deploy. And come on. Did I break it so bad it won't even start? No, okay. We're at least starting. Let me get the casting going. Computer, next. All right, you guys should be seeing what I'm seeing. All right, so let's go grab the prototype gun here, attach a power cell, and totally broken. Totally doesn't work. All right. Let's see what we got here. Debugger 49. All right, tell me exactly what's wrong. Node laser beam was modified from inside an instance, but it has vanished. Oh. Right, because this is the base, and here is the blaster mega. What did it do to the laser beam? It should have done anything to the laser beam. All right. Node not found laser animation player. Does this have its own script? It does not. Let's look for Laser animation. Okay, laser okay, so I was using the animation player to do the cooldown, which is a bad idea. Let's just get rid of that for now. We're not going to have a cooldown. We'll re-add the cooldown back. That's actually something that's going to need to be different between the pistol-like gun and the automatic type gun. So let's see if this likes us more this time. Debugger. What errors you got for me, debugger? You've got blackness for me in the headset. Oh, here we go. And that looks like a sane number of errors. All right, let's give this a try again. Ooh, but you guys aren't seeing what I'm seeing. There we go. Yeah, haha, okay. So the laser still works. All right. I am compelled to just commit this because it was such a weird, tangly refactor. Yeah, let's just commit it. Say refactor laser beam into its own scene. All right, we need to refactor the explosion a little bit. That should be super easy, honestly. Oh, it's already pretty self-contained. I think what we need to do is move just a little bit more of this code into the thing itself. So I think we can just set this on the scene. Let's go to our explosion scene. And we will set it as top level here. Oh, Pixis says, oh, awesome to hear. I've been developing a combat framework add-on called Frey. Part of the reason I know about yours is because someone was discussing the possibility of creating a network solution which looks like your add-on wasn't able to. Oh, I mean, yeah, come hang out in the Discord, man. We've been talking about upgrading it for months and months and months. And in fact, iFire actually did like a really quick upgrade of it to Godot 4 that isn't fully tested, and I haven't tried it. I don't know if it really works, but he was experimenting with it because he was evaluating it for a Godot 4 project that he was doing, and he upgraded the GDScript version. The plan for my official update to Godot 4 is to actually port it from GDScript to C++. I don't know how much you have been paying attention to things going on, but there are performance issues with the Godot rollback netcode add-on. I think largely because it's in GDScript. Rollback is challenging in that, like, let's say you have a buffer of 10 frames, like 10 ticks. You can, in a single frame, run up to 10 ticks worth of game logic, which is a pretty normal amount. I think I used 8 in my retro tank party, but 10-ish. It can be real slow to run 8 frames worth of logic within a single frame, and there were some bottlenecks that I don't think we can fix without going to C++. So the plan is to port it to C++ for Godot 4. But yeah, that's coming after the SG Physics 2D port, which is still in progress. Explosion. What was I doing? Okay, top level. This can be gone. Setting the global transform to a collision point. Let's say, so we always have to add it as a child of something, but it could be the root of the tree. Could the explosion like automatically add itself? No, that doesn't make any sense. We could say like explosion setup, explosion, is it called get root? How do you get? No, we don't want to do that. Let's just say get parent and then collision point, something like this. Or here we could do it thinking we could do a static method. Just something that makes it so I don't have to write a lot of code every time I use one of these. No, this is fine. This is fine. As a small amount of code, we're good. We're good. GD extension. Yeah, the link for joining the Discord should be at the bottom. This way, over here. Yeah. So the main challenge actually has been that GD extension has a couple of bugs in it. That's why the SG Physics 2D port has not yet completed. But I'm thinking post GDC. GDC's in 2-3 weeks. After I come back from GDC, I'm going to focus in on fixing all the bugs that are blocking us in GD extension, together with the rest of the maintainers and the folks working on GD extension, so that we can get SG Physics 2D done, and then I can move on to the rollback add-on itself. Okay, I think we're ready to do this. So what we need basically here is we need to say we need to call like a faux virtual method that like scripts that descend from this script will implement, and we'll call this, we'll say use tool. And then we'll put the stub here, use tool. Implement this in descending scripts. And then we need to take our pistol-like weapon, which is, I guess, Blaster Mega. It's a horrible name for what this actually is becoming, because this is becoming the pistol. We can rename it, though. Let's, what we'll do is let's rename it. Let's actually rename it, because that'll update our references too in the other scenes. So we'll call this Blaster Pistol. And we'll rename this Blaster Pistol. And we will need to do extend script, or Blaster Pistol script. And then in here, we'll implement that faux virtual method, use tool. And then we will copy the code that we had here, which did all of this. And we'll need to re-implement the cooldown, which means, hang on, so we got to move some stuff from the other scene to this scene as well. And the force needs to become not a... Well, actually, that's fine, because this is going to now depend on the individual scripts, right? So we can move this over to Blaster Pistol. It can remain const. That's cool. Awesome. Thanks for joining, man. Yeah, determinism is the headache, because so writing, we always end up getting caught up in the deterministic physics part, which is a big part. You need to have your collision and movement and all that stuff be deterministic. But even beyond that, your game logic itself has to be deterministic, which people tend to just gloss over, like, oh yeah, okay, that'll be the easy part. But they're both hard. Once you drop in the deterministic physics engine, okay, now your physics is deterministic. You don't have to worry about that. The physics engine handles it. But you still have to make sure that all of the code that you write to implement, your power-ups and your weapons and your moves and all that stuff is also deterministic. But there's a lot of tools in the add-on to help with that, actually. There's a whole bunch of debug modes that will attempt to trigger non-deterministic behavior during development, as opposed to only turning up when you actually try the game in practice. And there is a really cool logging tool which you can use to have each player run these like super detailed logs, and then you can combine them together in this log inspector tool and be able to see in like really fine-grained detail what actually happened during the match to lead to a desync. You can even actually run the Godot debugger on things that happened, like the line-by-line debugger, during the match, which you could never do in a normal match because, like, once the debugger starts, the match has to stop because execution is stopped. But since you're doing it all after the fact on these logs, like, you really can get deep in there and figure out where your determinism issues come from. So, still hard, but the add-on attempts to make it as it attempts to give you as many tools as is possible to give you. That's what I'll say. Okay, so I like the aiming dot, but we actually need the raycast to be part of the pistol scene and not part of the base scene, I think. Because let's say we do a shotgun type weapon, we're going to need to have its aiming done differently, not just a single ray. It could be a multitude of rays. It could be a cone, like we were talking about earlier on, picking a random vector within a cone, which I suppose could still be done by redirecting a single ray, but no, that sounds weird. Yeah, maybe we just kill the aiming dot, because I don't actually even use it anymore. It was added purely for testing early on to make sure that the laser actually shot in the direction that it was supposed to. So let's kill it. Let's kill the aiming dot. Where do I want to go? I want to go to the blaster base scene. So goodbye, aiming dot. You served us well. Or could I do the aiming dot without the ray? I guess the main question is how far do you put the aiming dot out without the ray? How do you position? Or what if this ray only exists for the purpose of the aiming dot, and then the individual weapons either use or don't use their own rays to do the actual aiming? Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we keep the aiming dot, keep this ray, but it's optional whether or not you even use the ray. Does that work? Wait, how are we positioning the aiming dot now that I've deleted all this code? What even was positioning the aiming dot? Oh, okay. So we're doing this thing in physics process. If the aiming dot is enabled, we check if the raycast is cladding, visible false. Okay, yes, we keep that. We hide show the aiming dot. Good, move on. This needs to be removed. I hate when VS Code gets in this weird state. Okay, there we go. So let me type again. Let's go to the last pistol. I need to add a note at the top so I don't forget. To be to do re-add cooldown. And then this is fine. We can keep using the same ray. We're taking the option. It's optional, and we've taken it. Yeah, I think all we need to add now is the cooldown. I think that's it. So let's go to the blaster pistol. Ooh, I missed some chat. Great to hear, and you're right, the fact that my game logic would also need to be determined is one that slipped my mind. Ash says, the aiming dot in the cone model usually shows the center of the cone. I like it. Okay, cool. It sounds like I talked through to a place that you approve of, Ash. Let's get to the blaster pistol. And we need to add a timer to be the cooldown. Say cooldown timer. The old cooldown I liked. It was fine. It was based on the animation time of the laser. So let's go see how long the laser animation takes, and that's how long we'll make our cooldown, at least to start with. 0.3 seconds, 300 milliseconds. Let's do it. Blaster pistol, 0.3 seconds. It is one shot. It is not auto start. It is going to process on the physics process. And we'll set the timeout. So we'll do this by or attached to the timeout signal. Sometimes I say things where in my head I know what I mean, but I like know the words I just said were gibberish. But okay, we'll say cooldown equals false. When the timer goes off, the cooldown gets set to false. That's kind of the reset state. And we'll say if cooldown, we don't do anything, we return. And then once we fire, we'll actually take care of that right away, so the two parts are close to each other. When reading the code later, that will be helpful. We set the cooldown to true, and then we start the timer. Okay, I think that should work. The question will be, does it work? Hey, Sacris, welcome to the stream. You're rocking the sailor helmet out there. Hey, where'd my character go? My character's supposed to always be on the screen. I must have somehow escaped. I escaped the screen. Hey, I'm completely new to both Godot and WebXR. I tried to follow along with your tutorial how to make it go from WebXR and Godot 4, but I had an issue. I keep running the project. The problem I had is that when the button to enter VR, the browser console gets spammed with user error condition left equals right equals true. Set frustrum and yeah, what make causing it. Yeah, it sounds well. Okay, I don't know what could be causing it, but I can tell you what it sounds like. The error is telling us. The error is telling us we are not receiving the correct eye positions from WebXR, but we have enabled XR mode in Godot. So if we take a quick peek at that tutorial over on my website, it sounds like use XR. It sounds like use XR has been set to true, but the WebXR session has not actually successfully started. And that's why we don't have the correct left and right eye projections, and why the this error would be happening that says that the right eye is supposed to be to the right of the left eye, right? They're probably exactly on top of each other because we don't have information for them. As far as how to fix that, I mean, are you following this tutorial exactly? Because like, I should really do this. I should really like push my project to GitLab and say, hey, you can just download this project. Because I do have a project that matches the tutorial exactly, and it does work. Some things that you could be maybe missing is adding this to the head include. It's possible that WebXR is failing to start because you're using a browser that doesn't fully support WebXR and you need one of these polyfills. I don't know, what are other reasons why WebXR might fail to start? You have to be using HTTPS. If you're not, WebXR will also refuse to start. Although you should see an error message about that. I guess go to the top of the console and see if there is an error message that comes just before you start getting all of this error spam about the left and right eye. Those are some ideas. I guess if none of that works, please come over to the Discord. The link is, I should get used to pointing. I guess I point this way. The link to the Discord is here. I'm like doing a hula. And we can work on it later. There's also a whole bunch of other people on my Discord who are also doing WebXR stuff who might be able to help you as well. But yeah. Follow this tutorial exactly found weird when trying the demo you give at the end of the tutorial. It also happens. It also happens? So, okay, that's not, what browser are you using? I guess that would be my question. Are you doing it, so like, it should 100% work on, if you're using the Quest browser on the Quest, because that should be the same for everyone, and I know that it works. If you are using a desktop browser, that could be interesting. So the different browsers have different levels of support for WebXR. Although the polyfill should fix that for both Chrome and Firefox. Chrome and Firefox with these polyfills should work. I have not tested Edge. I don't know its state. Tried in both Chrome and Firefox. I haven't tried Quest browsers. What headset are you using? Also, do the WebXR samples like from what is the name of the group? The Immersive Web group. So I would also try make sure that in your browser of choice, Chrome, Firefox, whatever, that these samples are working for you on your headset there. Because these should 100% work. They're from the people who created WebXR, the working group that created the standard. Anyway, try some of this stuff. If you can't figure it out, let's chat on Discord some other time. There's only 10 minutes left of the stream, so I should get back to work. Yeah, I think the place that we are in is that the code we just wrote should work, and let's try it. That's where I think we're at. So assuming the code we wrote worked, this WebX or OpenXR bug where it drops me back to the home, very annoying. Welcome to my VR home. Okay, so assuming that the code we wrote worked, our completely now refactored blaster pistol should work same as it did before. There we go. We of course had the stall from the shaders compiling. That'll be fixed eventually. Clay has told me that he plans to port the shader cache from Godot 3 to Godot 4 at some point. The OpenGL shader cache, that is. I don't think Vulkan shaders need to be cached. They are binary from the very beginning. Oh, and I guess I didn't try very hard to see if it seemed like the cooldown was working. Let's try that. New power cell here. Yeah, definitely feels like the cooldown is doing what it should. All right, everything's working. We've refactored the weapon. This should allow us to make our automatic weapon. Do you guys think we can do it in 10 minutes? Can we make our blaster auto in 10 minutes? Let's commit what we've got. Factored blaster into blaster pistol. Streaming is not great for actual productivity. That's 100% true. So streaming is great for ideas. You guys sometimes give me the best ideas. It's amazing. And it's fun. I like to hang out with you guys. But yeah, I get way less done on streams than I do working on my own, and I get way dumber. You guys get smarter, I think. You guys are amazing, but I get dumber when I'm on stream. There's like the having to perform and being nervous, because like, how can you not be nervous? Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. We need to... let's start by cloning the blaster pistol scene. We'll call it blaster auto. And we're going to open it. Let's open the blaster auto scene. And we are going to detach the script and attach a new script. Attach script. And we are going to need to change the cooldown. We still need to have a cooldown. Because we don't want it. How do we want to have this be? So you hold it. and then release it. Okay, so we're gonna need to change. We're actually gonna need to change a little bit how we just did the blaster base. Hang on. So where's blaster? Blaster GD. Ah, blaster pistol GD. Blaster GD. So we have this use tool. I think we actually need to do start tool, stop tool. Oh, and the deducting of the power happening here needs to happen inside the tool itself. So here's what we need to do. We're gonna need to say everything needs a power cell, and so we will pass the power cell to the tool. So we're gonna say start tool or tool start using tools. Do start using tool. Start using tool, and we'll pass in the power cell. And we'll need to move that code in a second. Fine. Start using tool, and then we need to do stop using tool for when the button is released. So button released on controller button released. Button released on controller button, no, released. Released. And down here we need to hang on, no, I want it to be right here. Okay, and then we need to say stop using tool. We should probably do the same check, because we would never have started using the tool. We don't want to stop a tool that we haven't started. So we'll say if cell and then, yeah, this code will be basically the same. We'll say if cell, and then this code needs to go into the, oh, I took too much. And this code needs to go into the blaster pistol. Or actually, hang on, this is pretty generic code. Maybe this needs to go, oh, this needs to be more complicated than this actually. Why can everything be simple? Let's actually put this on the power cell itself. So power cell, I'm going to say func use power, and then we give it a power cost, or we'll say amount, p amount, int, which has a bool. So the idea is we'll call this use power method, which will deduct the power if it's available and return false if it's not available. So we can take all of this code, put it in there, and then any weapon or tool or whatever can call it. So oh, missed some chat here. You're tempting me to stream this evening. How can you not be nervous? Stop caring as much. Streaming with my pajamas helps with that. Yeah, it's hard though. Like I'm you know, supposedly an expert in various things. Not all the things I do on stream. I do a lot of rendering stuff on stream, and I am not an expert on rendering. I'm horrible at rendering. But like when it comes to like Godot networking, you know, I've and that kind of stuff, like I'm known as an experty kind of dude. And when I say wrong things or make mistakes on stream, like it's hard not to get be like, ooh, they're gonna know I'm a fraud. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. Particularly when this is also like my career too, you know, and then like it's on the internet forever that I am supposed to be an expert in something and I said something dumb and people can watch it for the next 20 years and see how dumb I was. I don't know. And of course, like logically, everyone does that. Everyone momentarily thinks a stupid thing or whatever, you know, or says a stupid thing or doesn't say something quite right or as delicately or fluently is not the word, eloquently, not quite as eloquently as they should. But I don't know. I enjoy streaming. I'm going to keep doing it, but I'm going to be nervous forever. I'm never going to stop being nervous while I stream. That's just a fact. Okay. So what are you complaining about on button pressed? Oh, because this is supposed to be button released. Okay, so this should wire things up as much as we need them to be wired up, at least in this script. Then we need to go over to our blaster pistol. And so we have the cooldown check, and then we also have, oh, and we need to rename this to start using tool, and it needs to take the power cell. And then we need to say if p cell, what did I say? What was it? What's the method called? Use power. Use power, power cost. Or if not p cell, use power cost. Return. Okay. So that should move the using of power into the weapon itself so that we can have the automatic weapon. You hold the trigger and it just keeps deducting power over and over again. But we only have 10 seconds left on the stream. No, we can go a couple minutes over. Let's make sure that the code that we just wrote here is working. And then we can attempt to sneak our automatic weapon in there. I think it should be easy. I think it should be easy to sneak our automatic weapon in there. Okay. So I shoot it. The power is going down. It keeps going down. Let's make sure that when it gets to 0, we can stop shooting. Or it stops us shooting, I guess I should say. Yep, it stops us shooting. We're good. All right. Now... The Clean says, Grandpa, look, you forgot to make this function virtual 40 years ago. That will totally happen. Yeah, that won't happen. So the thing with streaming and like the internet and putting yourself out there is it's there forever and anyone can look at it at any time, but they absolutely won't, except for when you know people decide to come after you for whatever reason, right? Or like you they just happen to like, they're like, oh, we'll scroll through this thing and then we see the one thing. So it's like, it's this weird mixed bag because like how many hundreds of hours of content have I put on YouTube? Nobody's going to watch all that 40 years from now, right? But some part of it will be seen at some point in the future randomly, and oh, it's there forever and I can never take it back. All right. So let's get into our auto pistol here. I really think we just need to do like 2 things here. This should be super easy. Let's take this code, start using. We need to, how are we going to do the cooldown? Or do we not have a cooldown and we just have an auto timer? Yeah, let's start there. Let's kill the cooldown. Instead of the cooldown, we'll have an auto timer, which it will be, yeah, fire, shoot, something like that. And we're gonna need to store the power cell. So we'll say P cell, or I'm sorry, power cell equals P cell, shoot, and then we're gonna need to start our auto timer. get rid of this cooldown timer one. So it's the auto pistol. Say auto timer. We want it to shoot, I don't know, every 100 milliseconds, something like that. And we need to disconnect, reconnect. Get a new method here. And instead of PSO, we do power cell. The odds of me doing something is going up dramatically now that I'm trying to rush. So we instantiate a laser beam every time. We need the import the laser beam scene, which we did not do. Wait, we did do it though. Wait, what? This needs to extend the blaster pistol. All right, guys. Here's the thing. I don't think we're actually going to make this in time. We're a couple minutes over, and like I really have to go use the bathroom, but I can't take a bathroom break and come back because then we'll just be like way over, and like I have to go to a work meeting soon and all this stuff. But we are so close. We are so close to adding the auto weapon. I will finish it probably later tonight, and then I'll put the WebXR version up somewhere and throw it in Discord if anyone wants to try it. Yeah, next stream, I think we're probably going to not come back to this project. We'll start on my next prototype, my March prototype. I have some cool ideas involving flying a spaceship, you will see. But thanks everyone for coming. This was a great stream. Let me take a look at the last comments here. Ash is saying, I think the thing is not that it's there forever. It's the you're not in control of how long it exists for. Yeah, which currently most things seem to exist for almost forever. I suppose like I have some old blogs and stuff that no longer exist on the internet and probably aren't in any internet archive or anything. But yeah, it's that you don't get any control. It's like things you might want to say randomly disappear and things you might want to disappear stay for ages. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I had a great time, guys. This was an awesome stream. Thanks, everyone. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you on Discord or at the next stream. Take care. Bye-bye.